You're very fond of making leaps, very big leaps, but okay.
I'm very fond of like fundamental truths because I think those matter. Right? Like I think the founding story matters.
What is even marketing? What is? That's not cooperation. I know it doesn't meet your definition.
Like to blend it because
it doesn't match your definition of what. Yeah.
But because words have meaning, and I think organizations have histories, right?
This is Industry Relations, a podcast at the intersection of real estate and technology from an insider's perspective. Sponsored by Cotality. Stay tuned to learn more with Rob Hahn and Greg Robertson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Industry Relations with Rob and Greg. This is your host, the notorious Rob, and as always, my amazing co-host, the fabulous Greg Robertson, everybody.
Hola, Rob.
Hola. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
We probably just offended like a bunch of, Muslim listeners.
Yeah, my I can't even pronounce things in English, so it's...
Anyway, all right. So we're unfortunately recording a little bit late because we both had travel.
Yep.
But hopefully we will make up for it with the quality of our discussion.
Yes. I think there's been some stuff in the news we can talk about.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's just dive right in.
Yeah, so two things I wanted to talk about. And the first thing I think is the news came out today that finally all these kind of... I think there were 7 people or 7 organizations or 7, what do they call them, plaintiffs or affiliates or I don't know.
Yeah.
Were making arguments against the Sitzer Burnett thing, and the judge has basically tossed them all out and saying, nope, we're approving this.
Yep.
So we are now in the post thing. Now we can say this.
Yes.
And I think, time, reflection, everything else. And we've talked about, it has been a while. We used to just talk about this. It's almost like private listings now, right? Or syndication before that.
Yeah.
But no, all in all, I think we dodged a bullet. I think the previous administration we want to talk about of NAR actually, this is a good thing for the industry, the settlement. Okay. Now, the caveat can be, and you were the first one to point this out, would be the bigger brokers, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, basically it was 4.9 million. Basically, kind of things have stayed the same as far as commissions and things, right? I think it could have been a lot worse. And I don't know do you give credit? Is it just is it strategy points? Is it that the previous legal team actually, got it right when they discovered that they weren't going to win this thing. But I would say a good day for NAR. What about you?
I guess so. That they got the settlement approved because if the 8th Circuit reversed, then it was going to be for a lot more pain, right?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, good for NAR, good for everybody that we moved on. There are going to be some issues that come out of this 8th Circuit decision, I think, for class action lawyers and such, but who cares?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Who cares? It's almost like it's done. I doubt that they're going to appeal it to Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing that's left. I doubt that. Although I wouldn't put it past Tanya.
Yeah.
Right? Because she pursued it.
I know. If she's willing to do that kind of free work, might as well, hey, let's try a Supreme Court thing. And
look, there's a part of me, just as someone interested in the law, that I kind of wish that she would, because there is this weird issue with settlements and class actions that I think is important. But again, that is of very little relevance to us.
Right.
Very, very little relevance.
But
to anybody
her
who's
point
not.
was it was just that getting $16 really didn't.
No, that wasn't really the.
Well,
it had to do with the Article 3 standing, and had to do with that. Again, this is legal theory shit that maybe academics and a very small sliver of class action bar cares about. So from that standpoint, yeah, finally behind us.
I don't. It is something because we started much earlier, but I think we started getting a lot more and visibility because of you and our kind of talking about this for early on, right? So, it feels like one door is closed now, Rob. I mean, we got to find, some more stuff here.
I don't think we're lacking any things to talk about. But let me address real quick before we move on the idea that this is good for the industry, right? I suppose, right? If we position it as the alternative would have been so much worse.
Yes.
Right. Whether this is, it's interesting. I was at that, I think it's Central Ohio Real Estate something or another. I can't remember the name of the event, but Columbus Realtors did an event. And Colin Mullane, the first vice president of NAR was there, and he sort of admitted, like, thank God that we got the settlement, because basically one state, I think it was 5.7 billion or whatever, like NAR was flat broke just at that point. And the settlement amount essentially came down to, as he put it, like, and again, he gave this public presentation, so it's not like I'm revealing something here, right? That they just handed over the books to the lawyers, and the lawyers went through and said, okay, the maximum you can afford to pay is 417 million or over 3 years or whatever. So in that sense, NAR dodged the bullet. Having said that, the lawsuit, the loss, and then the settlement is having this reverberating effect, right? And has had this reverberating effect.
Cooperation, right? The compensation's gone away now.
Compensation is gone.
And now that has put a big bullseye on cooperation, for sure.
Not only that, but I think what it really did was it left this power vacuum. Because until the settlement, until the loss, right, until losing that lawsuit, I don't think there's any doubt that NAR was essentially the ruler of the real estate industry, right? Now, after the loss and then the settlement and then, like what you like to say, risk reduction, right? It's pretty clear to me that NAR is no longer the center. Like there's a vacuum.
Yeah.
There's a power vacuum now in the industry. Like
who's Big Daddy now, right? That's the thing.
Who's Big Daddy?
Yeah.
You think Zillow's Big Daddy.
Yeah.
I think Zillow would love to be Big Daddy, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
We'll
but
see.
it's resulting in kind of the conflicts that we're seeing today. Yeah. So is that good? I suppose, from a certain perspective, sure, right? Things could have been worse, and they're not. Now that's behind us. Again, absent the Supreme Court appeal, which I don't see. I guess time to put it behind us and move on. So yeah.
It is funny that you mentioned that the NAR was it the vice chair? You said he was there. Who was it?
First vice president.
First vice president talked about like revealing that NAR just showed the books and said, "Hey." Well, that's exactly what Ed Zorn had said, right? It's like these guys are going to go there and they're going to extract as much as they can to keep these people alive and to keep going. So that's amazing. He kind of called that too as well.
Yeah, I mean it's the most cynical approach to things. And usually cynicism is right because we live in that society, But to consumers' benefit, no. No. Like, so we're still gonna have the Wendy Gilches and some of those activists out there. Like I get it, and I'm with you. My heart's with you, but yeah, like steering is still going on. Commissions aren't coming down. Like all of those things are true. Like it is what it is. What you gonna say?
Yeah, and
move on.
Hopefully,
move on. Yeah, move on.
Sounds like it was kind of a smaller price to pay. So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Second thing I want to talk about, it's also kind of related, is and I just wrote about it this morning, but I was in the socials this morning, just flicking through, and I follow the realtor.com, not realtor.com, but the NAR feed, right? And what showed up on there was
on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Okay.
And I have a link to it in my blog. We'll put it in the show notes.
I'm gonna search for it right now.
Yeah, just go to Vendor Alley. It's the first thing on there, and it's just I think is that because we met this dude. I think is that Rafi or what is his name? I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Rafi Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. So he and then also the legal guy did just a really quick and easy information about NAR, what's going on, some stats, a little quick legal update, and even threw in a a commercial for RPR at the end. I mean, them saying it, and I just thought it was so really well done. And it's like, where NAR is to be like, well, did you check the listserv, right, for the latest announcements or that email thread you're supposed to be on? But this is the way they should do it. So I just wanted to say, hats off to these guys for doing something that I think is really well done, and they should keep doing these things. And I think other associations in MLS should steal this little format of theirs. It's just almost a walk and talk kind of thing. But I mean, from what they had, they didn't have to start from. They started pretty low, right? So any improvement's a big one. But I just wanted to give a shout out to them for really improving things with that.
I mean, I agree with that. Like as we've talked about after we went and met with the team, I feel like the team is the right team. They're significant upgrade from past teams. And I think they'll continue to make the right moves. Like Bennett has been great. Rafi's great. So I think they're all professionals doing a great job. I don't think the problem with the team is the team. I think the problem with the team, like we have talked about so many times, is will they be allowed to do what they want and what they need to do? Right. It's about the volunteer leadership. It's about the infrastructure. It's about all of that. And that's going to take a long time.
I mean, I think the way you come from it is like you think there's a much bigger thing that they need to do to save save the patient.
But it's beyond what they need to do. It's what the leadership of NAR needs to accept. Yeah. And I don't, like some of the governance changes, some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
It's really tough. And I don't think that's something that staff, like the team, can force. Right. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they're just staff. Yeah. Right. They're hired help. So they can only recommend. And I'm sure they're making all the right recommendations. They're doing all those things. But are they going to be allowed to do that by the leadership?
It almost harkens back to what we were talking about, the NAR giving the books to the attorneys. It's like it's almost like NAR giving the books to the fixers, to Nikia. Like, okay, you can work anything on this side of the page, but this side is going to be very tough, and probably you're not going to have a lot of success. So just letting you know,
that's right.
What do you want to do, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's the question. But you're right. I mean, I think that team is significantly. It's a big improvement, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's never them, right? It's the culture, right, within the organization that needs a significant change. I'll just give you an example before we move on. One of the things I said, it would be really amazing for you all to do, for NAR to do, knowing fully well that they're not going to do it. Okay. What I said was, could you imagine if Nikea and the president, whoever the president is in a given year, they should just do a weekly podcast like we do, right? And what I meant by that was, having spoken to Nikea in person now, right? Like, there's a lot more authenticity there.
Yeah.
Than shows up in like these PR things and this carefully crafted messaging stuff. I kind of feel like NAR could do a lot worse than, I guess Bennett would be the person in charge. Like, I don't know, like whip the entire PR comms team into a different way of thinking, right? That it's not about controlling messaging and making sure that you don't say the wrong thing. Like, go for authenticity, right? Because to the extent that you and I have any followers, any success, I think it's because people might not agree with us, me, but I think they know that I'm like being authentic. This is kind of what I really believe. I think if they were to do that, the members would forgive a lot. Like, let's say you misspeak. Do you know what I mean? Let's say you say something that pisses off some whatever. I think the members would forgive a lot if they genuinely felt like the leaders were being authentic to them, right? And when you see these guys like off stage, kind of, and I've had this experience, when you speak to any of these guys like in private or in a bar or whatever, like they're like authentic, man. They're like real people, expressing real opinions about all sorts of topics. And then they get on stage and like this like weird thing comes down and they become this like, like not even human beings, almost like walking press releases or something. I'm like, if NAR could do that, that would make such a huge advance. I think. Now, Think about that. Would the culture NAR today allow that to happen?
No.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah. I mean,
how do you move the culture to where NAR would do that?
But it reminds me of I don't know if anybody's guilty, really. I mean, she's done a lot of podcasts. She was just at in San Diego getting interviewed. I mean, she's out there a lot, but I mean, there is a crafted message there. And it is like, it reminds me of like the difference between like a bootstrap company and a company that's bought by private equity, right?
Sure.
They have a playbook. They have a team that's done this, and they're going to do the playbook and run the playbook. And they're not there to be the passionate ones like we are about this industry.
Sure.
They're there to do a job, and I think both you and I agree they're the right team to do this kind of job.
Sure.
But they're not there to. It's not I've always said to this is like what I call people that come inside this industry and then they leave or whatever. My phrase for them is tourists, right? They're like tourists. You're not a tourist. I'm not a tourist. These guys that are come in like that are a little bit, kind of. They can make the transition, sure, but
come on, man. I
so
don't know if
Nikia is going to be.
I don't know if I call her a tourist.
You don't think that she's going to not find in like 3 years another turnaround to kind
maybe, but I'm saying while she, like I guess I don't consider her or Rafi or Bennett or any of these newer guys or Jonathan Wachowski. Like I don't think they're tourists.
Yeah, we'll see.
I just
we'll see.
I think that's. I think it's better. They're professionals.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
just my word for professionals that come in the industry that are not in organized real estate.
All right. I'm just taking out the sort of the denigration of tourists. Like you don't really. Yeah. Okay. I think they really do care, and I think they're trying to do a great job.
No.
My point simply is this:
professionally,
you're right
for sure.
Fine. Maybe it's not the staff then. Okay. But then maybe I'll put it this way: the NAR president. Okay. Whoever is the president. Okay. Like, that dude, that woman, like, they got to that position because of something, right? And I bet when you go talk to them offline, if you will, they're probably pretty authentic, probably pretty genuine.
I mean, yeah.
Imagine if they were to just host a weekly podcast, in fact, forget podcast.
I mean,
do a live stream.
What, are they going to get, like, 300 views like we are? I mean,
who cares? Who cares? My point is, have 300 views, but allow members to like call in, write comments, like all, like the modern live stream thing.
They've done podcasts before, right? I mean,
no, they appear on podcasts with a set of talking points. This is different. I'm saying just go open up. Hey, we're gonna talk about whatever the topic of the day is today. Hey, we just got our settlement approved. Isn't this great? Do you know what I mean? And then like, okay, let's open it up. Like, what do people have to say?
We gotta reach out to Bennett and get Nikia on here, and know, because I think we would get right to the, or even him or some other people over there. We can get right into like, listen, if you're gonna come on here, you're gonna have to be authentic because we're gonna write those, we're gonna ask those questions.
I don't know. Nike is pretty. She's very good. Yeah. She's very trained.
We might not be able to crack that code.
The same thing. I'm just saying, but it's not about.
Give us a shot.
No, it's not about appearing on someone else's podcast.
Right.
What I'm saying is I think if they were to do it themselves, because you and I both know how difficult it is to do a weekly podcast. Yeah. And we're not even a live stream.
Yeah.
I think if they were to... So what
I don't know.
It's
like, being in consulting, and you probably come into this, one of the things that like comes up is like, what they want to do is like, oh, the CEO wants to start doing a podcast, right? He listens to podcast industry, wants to. And I'm like, I always tell them, I'm like, would you listen to a podcast that the head of your water company was doing? Because I think most of the time, most realtors look at like an MLS as like, and I don't want to trigger you with this word, but it's like a utility, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, who cares about, is the water working? Does turn the faucet on and it works? What am I going to hear from this bozo that's so, entertaining, right?
Well, again, I guess I was talking about NAR, not the MLS.
But I mean, it's almost the same. It's an association.
No,
I think
no,
so.
No, it's not. NAR to me is the realtor party.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a political entity. It's a political organization.
Sure.
I think the people who really care about NAR and realtors are inherently political.
There are a lot of those for sure. You're right.
There are, and again, I'm not saying political parties do a great job with this either. They're all liars and they're all PR controlled, whatever. I'm just saying if you look at like the biggest programs, the biggest media in the world today, it's all like podcasts where there's all this authenticity.
But I mean, and I know they have their own podcasts. I don't know if it's. I know they do. NAR does have a podcast.
They have a few, I think, but no one listens to it because it's all fake. It's all fake and corporate.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay,
point.
here's where I'm going to get you.
All right.
How many have you listened to?
One.
Okay, so yeah.
For about 5 minutes,
Okay.
I said, "Oh, this is just so fake.
Okay.
It's fake and gay," and I'm just like, "No, I'm not doing this." Right?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
you know, and like what I want, and again, I'm pointing out they will never do this. I get that, right? Because the culture of the organization does not allow for it today. What I'm saying is, imagine if the culture of the organization shifts enough where the president feels like, I'm going to do a weekly podcast to speak to the members directly. Like, what's in my heart? And man, by the time you get to be president, you probably know the issues and you probably know not to say really dumb things. You know what I mean? You probably know not to like totally misspeak.
Well,
right?
if that was true, maybe our own president would not.
I mean,
he never took that advice.
He did, you know. But like, I feel like that's what. Here's the thing: as much you say that, one of the reasons why the Trump fans are such fans is because they feel like he's authentic.
Yeah. No, sure,
Right.
for sure.
People who don't agree, like you're a moron. I think even those, we are still kind of like, he's kind of authentic. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of authentically a moron, but you know, like,
Yeah.
versus like Obama, maybe, you know, or W, like they're so polished and you don't know if what they're saying, you know?
No, I get that. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So anyway, I just bring that up just to say it's something for not just NAR, but maybe all realtor associates at least consider.
Well, I have not. I know they mentioned the podcast in that Instagram thing. I have not listened to any of their podcasts, so I'm going to put that on my checklist to do. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, but come on, man. Like, what corporate podcast have we ever
I don't know.
heard?
Like I said, I was surprised by this Instagram thing. I thought they was really well done. Maybe the same team has started to do a little bit better things on those things as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, they're doing great. Huge step up. I was just mentioning that it's not the team, it's the culture of the organization. Yeah. And I hope that changes as realtors get younger, I suppose. You know, once the boomers kind of exit the scene, Gen X, millennials, you know, we're much more used to that authentic, you know, sort of approach to things. So maybe that's what it takes. But just suggesting for other associations to maybe consider, right? Like, it sounds crazy, but hey, man, if your president is not able to do a weekly podcast to speak directly to members, maybe you don't have the right president.
It is this kind of new media thing, right? So
it certainly is. But I thought we were going to talk about the unlock.
Yeah, no,
MLS
let's
thing,
go.
'cause
Let's go. Yeah,
that's the big thing.
So Emily, God, it's Gerrard now. I mean, she's changed.
Emily Gerrard, I believe.
Apologize, Emily. Has written a post on the Real Estate News. I guess it's an editorial or op-ed regarding the way that they're changing or adding or restructuring what they view as a participant, right?
That's right.
And they have kind of three different levels. There's a base level, and that base level is, you know, that they don't need a feed, and they're just going to use the standard MLS MLS tools. Then they have something they call a direct service brokerages, and this is it receives a data feed, but it really has to kind of like also be in the business of what a traditional broker would do: buy and sell real estate, helping agents, you know, and helping consumers kind of do that whole thing. And then the third one was a platform brokerage, right?
That's right.
And this would be a firm that kind of takes the data feed, but doesn't really meet the kind of criteria that was set for the base or the direct, right?
Right.
And I think these are more people that have a business model that is of like a Zillow or a portal, so to speak, right?
Right.
And you know what she's talking about is cooperation here, right? And she thinks that by changing the definition for participant into these three different things, it might be a good way of looking at the MLS going forward. I read this, and I've been thinking about this. I think this is where we're all going, is that we have to I don't agree with what her solution is, but I do agree that this notion of participant is really eating everybody up. And to me, when she lays out these kind of different names of participants or definitions, really they have to do with data. And if you look back at the DOJ settlement back in 2008, it basically calls out that you cannot discriminate a participant for their business model, right? So
Right.
I think that the way you do this is, and this could be very wonky-ish, kind of like, very just, in the weeds kind of thing. But I don't think you want to you don't want to poke that NAR bear, right? You don't want to mess with this kind of notion of like, oh, we're going to change what a participant means, because I think that's going to raise the ire of NAR in that thing, or the DOJ in that. I think what you really do is, and what she really is describing are really different uses of data, so that these should be like leave the participant thing alone, and then the way you get with everything else is that it's how you charge them for the data they're using and how they're using it. It could be even like how much data they are using. And I know we talked about this, and you had something similar in that you were working on with that way, right? So
Yeah.
I love that she's talking about this. I think her approach is I would do it differently. I'm not going to say it's totally wrong, but I think this is a data license, not redefining the name of or what the meaning of a participant is.
I guess I'm going to differ. I love what they did here. I think I'm writing a post about this, and I think my title is something like, "And MLS finally innovates." I can't think of something more innovative that a major MLS has done in the last 20 years, maybe longer, right? The last one, I suppose, is IDX, right? It was the last real innovation. And that was brought on by the internet coming along. So I think this is a fantastic step. I also can nitpick the way they are implementing this, right? Mm-hmm. But as a whole, before we even get into that, I guess where I differ with what you said is, first of all, there's no reason whatsoever to fear the DOJ or some bullshit anymore. There just isn't. I think... I get it. The industry's been sued so much for antitrust that it almost has PTSD.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a bold statement as far as what I think, right?
But I genuinely think things have all changed, primarily because of the NAR settlement that we're just talking about.
The recent one.
The recent right, the recent
right.
settlement.
We got to differentiate because there have been so many lawsuits, right?
But it's because compensation is no longer part of the MLS, it's no longer part of the organized real estate. I just think that is such a gigantic change when it comes to the legal aspect, right? In other words, you think about the 2008 settlement, which led to the VOW, and which led to some of these things. Your concern around don't mess with the definition of participant. Well, it's because the premise was that the organized real estate through the MLS was keeping commissions high, and therefore screwing consumers over. You know what I mean? If it was the other way, if it's organized real estate is using the MLS to keep commission super low, right? And compared to the rest of the world where they're paying 1%, in the US we only pay $25. The DOJ doesn't suit. There's no case.
No, good, fair point.
Right? So now that compensation is not part of the conversation anymore with respect to MLS, Realtor Association, none of it, there's no reason to fear it. That's number one. Number two, the participant thinks is... And I get it. I think Tim Dane thinks of it this way. A lot of my friends who I really respect think of it as it's just about data use. Okay. And I guess there's something about that I don't agree. Right? Because what it's doing is it's undermining, in my opinion, the core essence and the identity of what the MLS actually is. Right? Which is it was, and I think still is, a cooperative of brokerages, right? And until IDX came along, no one questioned this. There was no, honestly, if you think about it, until the internet came along, no one was looking to join the MLS in order to take the data and do something with it. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone older
they would
could chime in.
Absolutely, they would make postcards here's the recent sales in your area, shit like that.
But they would join the MLS as a participant to do that?
Well, how else would they get the data?
Just get a data license.
Yeah, I don't think they had data licenses back in those days like that, right?
Well, again, I don't know. Yeah. So if we go back to the era of the printed book, I just have no idea. I'm just saying, like, until internet IDX, I don't remember anybody being like, oh man, I better go get a brokerage license so I could join the MLS. Everybody understood what the MLS was.
No, but the problem was we're the ones that made that happen.
What do we?
The industry. We said only brokers can get data like that. Okay, we'll become a broker. Well,
Right, so-
shit.
But why did the data become so damn important? It's because the internet. All of a sudden,
sure.
oh, now I'm going to get IDX. Now I'm going to display it.
My thanks again for Catality for sponsoring industry relations. You know that feeling, don't you? As an agent, you're starting from a blank listing form, wading through endless data entry, trying to remember every tiny detail from that property tour. It's a grind that eats up your valuable time you could be spending with clients. What if you could flip the script? Totality is here to help with its new AI-powered Matrix Listing Manager. It's the next evolution in creating listings, built on their powerful core AI platform. Forget hours of painstaking work. Now tasks that used to take forever can be done in minutes. Their new Listing Manager uses cutting-edge AI to help agents create richer, more accurate listings so they can focus on building relationships instead of wrestling with data. Here's how it works. An agent can start a listing right from their iPhone with the MLS Touch app. They can use their voice to add notes as they walk through the property and let the AI automatically tag photos and capture room dimensions with incredible accuracy. The best part, everything captured in the field syncs instantly, so it's waiting for them back at their desk. And because it's available as a standalone module, it can integrate with any MLS platform, giving MLSs and brokers the flexibility to populate listings across multiple MLSs while keeping all their data in one place. MLSs, reach out to your Totality rep today and get a demo. Thanks again to Totality for sponsoring industry relations.
So, look, I mean, once we recognize that, if we want to go to that, then fine, I guess. I worry about it a lot, right? Because if you want to reformulate the MLS as just a data company, right, that to me feels like, okay, then the MLS is absolutely not the right vehicle for this.
Well, I don't know by passing this off to data licenses you're redefining the MLS as a data company. But I mean, you're very fond of making leaps, very big leaps. But okay,
I'm very fond of like fundamental truths because I think those matter, right? Like I think the founding story matters.
What is even marketing? What is that's not cooperation. It doesn't. I know it doesn't meet your definition.
You just like to blend it.
It doesn't match your definition of what. Yeah, okay.
But because words have meaning, and I think organizations have histories, right? So I just look at it as like the MLS was founded as a brokerage cooperative. A lot of the brokers still think of it as a cooperative. And in the overall economy, let me put it this way. If all we cared about was data usage and data companies, there are plenty of companies out there that can provide that service, right? Only the MLS can do cooperation. And I made this point in Columbus as well, right? Like the miracle of American real estate is not what people usually talk about, that buyers can go to one place and find all the, like, no, to me, that's not the miracle. That's the result of the miracle. The miracle of American real estate is that competitors got together and said, you know what? I'm going to help you look good with your clients if you help me look good with mine.
Yeah.
That's cooperation. And I'm like, okay, if that's what the MLS was, what is necessary to do is restore that. And to do that, what Unlock did is a really great step, which is you have to redefine participant, right? And I think I mentioned it on our podcast a number of times. I know I mentioned it at the Columbus event and got some laughs, which was cool. I do love getting laughs, right? And it's the question, if OnlyFans went and got a brokerage license and said to an MLS, I want to be a participant in your MLS, can the MLS say no?
No.
Right? And my thing is, if your rules do not allow you to say, sorry, porn website, you are not allowed to be a participant, then your rules need to be changed. Right? And again, I know that's a super extreme example, right?
Why you got to rain on the sex workers parade, man? I mean, what's up with that?
Because they're not brokers. They're not participants. Right? And my solution has always been, you know what? The MLS, the OnlyFans could get data from the MLS, just go negotiate for it on a syndication license. Right? And then you just apply that to everyone who's not a brokerage. So that's Zillow, that's, Realtor, that's House Canary, that's whatever, AVM companies, or like, that's cool. Like we're not discriminating against your business model, right? We're just saying that's cool. You have a lawful business. Come negotiate a deal with us, right? And we'll give you a syndication data license.
Well,
right?
I mean,
and like
okay, it's a data license, yeah.
Correct. And then like any business deal, at that point, you get to negotiate the price and terms. The difference between that and participant data access, participants had access as of right. Like I'm a member, right? I'm a participant, therefore I get this data as a right of membership, right? And that has been, if you will, one of the problems that we're facing today, right? So I think what Unlock is trying to do is extremely important. I think they deserve a lot of applause and a lot of praise because it is brave. It's pretty courageous for them to do this. I feel pretty certain that they're going to get sued by somebody.
But I thought we didn't have to worry about that.
No, they'll get sued. I think they'll win. There's no antitrust lawsuit, I don't think, or at least not one that has any real basis. But it's pretty courageous. So I just want to point that out. Where I differ with them is they've leaned a little too hard in your side, which is they defined it on the basis of data usage.
Right.
Right. Instead of like identity, the core identity of the firm. And I think they made things a little bit hard for themselves in terms of enforcement. Right.
Yeah. Who's going to go to that site and to say, well, this is not really, what are the litmus tests that are going to apply to each one of those things, right?
Well, it goes beyond that. Literally, one of their definitions is in order to be a, quote, direct service brokerage, right? The majority of your revenues have to be made from, quote, direct services. I'm like, how are you getting that?
Yeah.
Does a brokerage have to start filing tax returns with the MLS?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
how are you doing that, right?
Yeah. I thought about that too.
And like the definition, the way they just kind of wrote it is very complicated. It feels
like a data license, doesn't it? It feels like they're describing a data license.
Kind of. Yeah. It feels like it was written by lawyers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the average agent, the average broker reading the rules, I don't think they could understand it. And to me, that's a real problem if your rules cannot be understood by your members.
Yeah, and there was one thing that, like, what I didn't quite understand was, let me just look. Let me bring this up again. Okay.
What, do you want the actual?
No, I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay.
So it's on this base level. The base service brokerage uses the core tools we provide,
Yeah.
but does not receive a data feed of other brokerages' listings. Okay,
Yeah.
so riddle me this. I mean,
Here's the actual. Yeah.
well, yeah, I was just reading the article from.
Yeah.
Well, are they using Matrix?
Yes.
Okay, so a Matrix has a feed of everybody's listings.
But in other words, so base service, okay, really is a combination of two things. Okay, it's the ability to log into Matrix on unlockmls.com,
Yeah.
right, and the ability to get the functional equivalent of a PDAP feed, which is just your own data, whatever you have.
Oh,
put
so
into the system.
that was not clear to me. So that, but
Yeah.
so they're saying you can only go in there and just see your own.
No. You can use the MLS. Okay.
Okay.
Right here. So you can log into Unlock MLS.
Right. And Unlock MLS has the feed of all of that.
But like within the MLS platform, like you can log into Matrix and search for properties, right?
Yeah,
Get the info on the
word
property.
that a little bit better because the way it reads is like you can't see other people's data at all.
No, yeah. So maybe that needs to be clarified.
Yeah.
So base service just means, hey, all you need access to the MLS. So you can list properties, right? And you can search the entire market.
So did they turn off the ability to export
Correct.
listings as an
I would have
a
to
CSV file? Do they?
I would have to imagine.
Yeah.
If not, then you're going to, So it's going to be, you cannot take this data outside of the MLS platform. Period.
Right.
That's base service. Okay.
Okay, so that to me is more the clarification is that, which again, it's all data to me, right? So it's like,
Right.
It's not that you can access this data, you just can't use it outside. Well, I mean that's a little bit different also. So in this case, can I do I mentioned this before, but a newsletter that I mail out that has the just listed, just sold
No.
in my neighborhood?
No.
Okay.
Right? Because that requires a data. You know what? Think of it like Google Maps. Right? Like you could go open up Google Maps, right? And you could use it to your heart's content. You cannot take any data out of Google Maps, though.
Okay.
Right? To do that, you need a separate server.
Or you can't
and
do a
use it.
screenshot and use that because that's going to be
You could probably do a screenshot. They can't stop you.
yeah. But,
So same
but it's
thing.
Not,
it's
but
not
it's
like,
not within the spirit of the agreement. Yeah.
correct. Like it's not like
Okay.
Unlock can stop you from doing a
Like I said, this
screenshot,
is all
right?
wonky shit. That's
But
yeah.
fundamentally, what base service means, access to the MLS.
Right.
Okay. Then they go, okay, now there's the data feed. Right?
Right.
And then they divide the data feed. So, okay, now you say, I want a data feed. Right? So here's data feed. Okay. Now you want a data feed of any portion of the MLS. Okay. Whether that's one or more tables, XML, relational database, any other data. It includes APIs, MCP call, etc. Okay. If you want a data feed, then Unlock is going to now try and distinguish you. Okay. So one interesting thing is anybody and everybody, if you have a brokerage license, you can get the base service. Okay. So like Zillow can just join as a base service member, and a Zillow agent, I guess, or Zillow broker in charge can log into Unlock MLS and search the MLS to the heart's content. Okay. Anyone can get that. OnlyFans could join and just search the MLS. Okay. Like you have to have a brokerage license, but once you do that and you
Looking for
agree to-
vacant houses to film. Yeah.
Sure. Whatever you want to do. Like you can join, you have to have a brokerage license, but base service means you can log into Unlock MLS and use it. Okay. If you want a data feed, now Unlock is going to ask this question. Are you a, quote, direct service broker, or are you a, quote, platform broker, right? And platform broker, the way it's defined, literally means you're not a direct service broker. In plain English, I look at it as, are you a real broker or are you not? Are you a real broker or are you a paper broker?
Yeah.
That's really what they're trying to get to, right? It's just that the way that are trying to define it, because they're worried about all sorts of different things, I think it's really inelegant. I think a much simpler approach would have been, are you an actual real broker?
Yeah, but I mean that's its own real broker is going to be
Correct.
But that goes back to the settlement in a sense. I know your point about commissions, but it was really, I think in the settlement it says because of their business practices, right? I mean, I think that word is in that, right? So
No, because if you look at that the 2008 settlement, what the DOJ, what they were really concerned about was that the MLS was going after discount brokerages. What they were going after was so-called online brokerages. Right.
but they didn't call that out in the settlement. But they
absolutely did.
I don't think so. I think the way they said it wasn't like of discount brokerages. I believe it was about of
Online
business
brokerages.
models.
No. It's a business model meant discount.
I wrote about
like what, because the theory that the DOJ had was, again, this is like 2005 when they started this,
Yeah.
right? So it's the birth of the internet. Their whole theory was, okay, we're going to have these companies like Redfin who are going to use the internet to deliver real estate services, right? So they could do it cheaper. And Redfin, in fact, was doing it cheaper, right? They were doing the buyer rebates or 1% to list because they don't have the overhead that the traditional brokers had. They don't have an office in every city, for example, or whatever, right? They don't have conference rooms. They don't have any of that. It's all online. So what the DOJ thought was, so here's new business models leveraging technology to lower the price for consumers. Oh no, here comes the MLS trying to put these guys out of business. Right?
Right.
That's the whole relationship. Okay, here we are in 2026. All that's like history, like that's gone. Nobody does that. Nobody's been trying to do that. And compensation is no longer part of the MLS. Like the NAR doesn't have rules around compensation anymore. Participant used to mean like you're like ready and willing to cooperate and compensate. Like that used to be the definition of participant, that you're willing to compensate. Okay, well, that's all gone now. So now what do we have left? And that's why what Unlock is doing is really special.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I'm just going to read this from the DOJ.
Yeah.
Under the terms of the settlement, NAR will repeal its anti-competitive policies and require affiliated listing services, MLS, to repeal their rules that were based on these policies. NAR will enact a new policy that guarantees that internet-based brokerages will not be treated differently than traditional brokerages. Again,
That's right.
Nothing about discount. Under the new policy, brokers participating in a NAR affiliated MLS will not be permitted to withhold their listings from brokers who serve the consumers through virtual office websites. In addition, brokers will be able to use vows to educate consumers, make referrals, and conduct brokerage services. Such brokers will not be excluded from MLS membership based on their business model.
That's right.
There's nothing about that this is qualified as a discount. This is just online referrals. It all spells it out there, man. I mean, it's...
If you look at the literal complaint that the DOJ filed, it goes through this whole history of the internet.
But I mean, if I'm
brokerages.
reading those words, that to me is a little bit poking the bear of the things that she's defining, whether they're, I could agree that these are very needed type of discussions to have.
Yeah.
I think it's poking the bear here with what I just read.
Like I said, I do not, because the internet-based brokerages that they were concerned with at the time were guys like eRealty and Redfin, who are actual brokerages with actual agents serving actual buyers and actual sellers, right? Like they were just using the internet instead of storefront.
Such brokers will not be excluded from MLS membership based on their business model. I mean, it doesn't outline what business model that is. It just is based on their business model.
Like I said, I just wouldn't be afraid of saying, okay, well, we're redefining participation to mean brokers.
Right.
Right. Not referral websites.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what is smart about this and why I'm glad we're talking about it and she's writing about it is that this goes back to kind of like something that Sal Klein wrote about, where it's not about like whether AI will replace the agent. It's who controls the terms under which AI gains access to listing data, right? Mm-hmm. There's two approaches there. There's a governed approach, and then there's this innovation approach, right? Where it's like the innovation approach is like, let it go, let's see what the innovation happens, whatever else. Mm-hmm. And then there's the governance way. And this, to me, feels like more of a governance kind of play than anything else, right? Which, again, people are going to have opinions about that too, right?
Possibly, yeah. Who knows? But look, I think this is really important because the Realty Alliance, that letter, I don't know if if Unlock was working on these changes before that letter came out, but I think that letter has had a huge impact.
Which one?
When Craig came out and said we need to question participation.
Right, yeah.
Right. And like you and I both know, like I've been speaking to brokers for over 10 years and they've been sort of kind of quietly grumbling about it, right? Thing is, back when the MLS was doing compensation, you could grumble about participation, but you couldn't mess with it because you didn't want to threaten the compensation. Mm-hmm. Now the MLS doesn't have compensation anymore. Brokers are like, wait a minute, why the hell is Zillow in here taking all our shit? Right? And there is an element of the contribution element. And this is what makes it so difficult, right? If participation were defined this way, that you must contribute, I don't know, some number of listings every year.
Right.
Right. Then it would have been easy. Zillow contributes no listings, right? Homes.com contributes no listings. House Canary, they don't have listing agents, right? The problem is, what do you do about the small broker? What do you do about the buyer's agent, right?
Yeah, and you're calling out one of the things that a brokerage does. What if you redefine the whole thing as like you must give, maybe it's not, you put it on its exposure, right? So it's like in order to be a part of this part as a participant, you may have to make sure that every listing on your site is exposed to at least 3 million people a month.
Sure.
You could whatever one you want to pick. In that case, Zillow's Zillow's great. Right?
That's right.
They're giving more exposure than any broker on
that's right.
on as a participant. So
that's right. And 95% of your brokerage participants get expelled.
Right. No. Yeah. Exactly. It depends on what poison you choose. Right.
But But thing is, my point is this, and this is where I think it's so important for the MLS to go back and think about like who they are and where they came from, right? Because if you were a brokerage cooperative, that's who you were, that's where you came from, and then you start thinking about all these like random ass rules about exposure and websites and tech, like you've lost track. Go back to who you are. You're a brokerage cooperative. So the first fundamental thing is defining what's a brokerage. Right? Like, that's how I look at it. If we were to walk out tomorrow and go grab a random agent off the street, right? And say, hey, do you think only brokers should be able to participate in your MLS? I don't know, I'm going to just conservative say 99.9% of agents would be like, of course. Right? Of course. Only,
again, we played this game. This game has been played before, and we got our fucking wrist slapped.
No, I just don't agree. My point is, if you just went and asked a random agent off the street, said, should only brokerages be allowed to join the MLS? I think 99.9% would say, of course. Where the challenge comes in is that you say, okay, define brokerage.
Right. Okay.
Right? That's where the challenge is. And you know what? It's a little bit like the Supreme Court definition of pornography.
Yeah.
Right?
I know it when I see it.
Right, exactly. It's like, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Right? It's kind of the same way. Like none of us think Zillow's a brokerage. None of us. Nobody thinks Homes.com is a brokerage. Nobody thinks House Canary is a brokerage. Nobody. No one believes that. Where things get a little difficult is there's one guy out of New Jersey I used to know way back in the day. He was a real brokerage, right? Like it's just him, and I think he had 3 assistants, and he had 2,000 websites, 2,000 IDX websites, and he would just generate leads and refer them, right? That was his entire business model. Is that guy a brokerage?
Sure, why not?
Because he's not a broker. He's not.
I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors, and
right.
The National Association of Realtors worked out an agreement with the DOJ that says I'm not to discriminate based upon what I think the definition of what I think a brokerage is. It's whatever their business model is. I'm going to work with them. That's what they said.
That's what they said, but no one believes them. It's kind of like trannies, man. Like just because you call yourself a woman doesn't mean the rest of us think you are. That we're not. Maybe we don't discriminate against you. Maybe we don't, hate on you. But no one believes it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Well.
So you're like legalistic. Like NAR agreed to this definition back in the day. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but no one believes it.
Well, we've been following it forever, right? Until it looks like now it's been it was 2008 when this thing came out. So. If nobody believed it, why have we been following it for over 10 years?
Because it really wasn't that big an issue, I think, until Zillow became a brokerage in 2019. Right? Because keep in mind, Zillow was not. They just went and got syndication licenses.
I mean, it's just the industry forced them to do it, right? Because that's the rules that they're making around. That's the funny thing is this is all self-inflicted.
A lot of truth to that.
This is all
self-inflicted.
A lot of truth to that, right?
Absolutely. And back in 2019, I was like defending Zillow, like they have to, because the minute they became a brokerage to to the Zillow offers thing, they're like every MLS is going to cut us off, like they're going to cancel our syndication agreement. I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. So they became a brokerage and like we're going to take IDX, we're going to do all that, but that's the proximate cause of all of this. But if that forces the MLSs to go back and rethink things, and again, the MLS back in 2019 still had compensation.
Yeah.
Right? Now they don't. So now the MLS go, okay, well, what's our value prop? Why do we exist kind of deal? And too many of them have gone to, we're a data company. We're going to talk about data licensing and data usage. Right? I'm like, okay, y'all could go down that road. The problem there becomes you guys, none of you are set up to be a data company. And you're not particularly good at it. So I would urge you not to do that.
Right.
Right? Like, you're not LexisNexis. That's a data company. Thomson Reuters is a data company. Anthropic Zillow in some ways is a data company. You're not. And I just look at it as like, look at your employees. How many of them are data scientists? Right? 1 out of 150, you're not a data company. So what I'm saying is I would urge you to go back to who you actually are, which is a cooperative of brokerages. So therefore, from that standpoint, one of the biggest things, and thank God Unlock is at least taking a step at this, you have to define who a broker is.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying like, I can't believe you are morons for nothing. No. That's not, I'm saying though, this work is necessary. And then the second thing that they have to do as soon as and Unlock is going to do this, the critical key here with this Unlock move is going to be around that commercial data use license. Meaning the ones that define as platform brokerages, what Unlock says, you can have the data, you have to execute what they call a commercial data use agreement with Unlock. I don't know what that means. It's not defined.
That sounds like another data license.
What it sounds like to me is a syndication agreement. Like the old school back in the day, right? Let's negotiate syndication. So it may be that Zillow is going to approach Unlock and be like, okay, fine. What's this commercial data use agreement, right? And then it becomes that negotiation, right? And if it's liberal, if it's like you can have all the data for a reasonable fee.
But again, you could.
Then Zillow's not going to have a problem.
You could skip all this, and you said it. You said it yourself. It's tough to define a brokerage. Okay, you know what? I would say it's impossible almost for anybody to agree that. So skip the participant part.
And do what?
And make what this base and platform and whatever she's talking about, make them okay. You're a participant. How are you using the data? Here are the data licenses we want you to do. Then I don't have to fuck with like defining a brokerage, right? I'm just going to say, how are you using the data? How much of the data are you using? This is your plan. Boom, done.
And just say, all right. So at that point, you're just saying we're not a cooperative brokerages.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying they're all cooperative brokerages. They just have different data license for what they're using the data for.
So then we the MLS get to get
it kind of does it the way now, right? Some brokerages can sign up for with a vendor for a full feed for some products are used. I mean, there's different data licenses that different participants use now today, right?
Greg,
it's not unknowable or
my
very
point
new.
is at that point then you are moving more and more towards that we're a tech company utility
well
type
again
model.
we're
not really
like
a cooperative.
to think in extremes like, okay, if you do that now you're a data company and you have to. No, I mean there's gray area. There's gradients of this, right? I think you can do that without having to say I'm LexisNexis.
Look, I mean, I think you just love the gradients because you don't want to deal with the actual issues, right?
I dealt with the actual issue. The issue right now is you can't define what a brokerage is. How else can we kind of rein in this problem?
I don't think you can't define. I think you have to give it a shot because you're a cooperative of brokerages. And why was it that 20 years ago no one had any issues and there were no questions? Nobody was trying to, no one was struggling with it then.
Well, I think you answered it. It was with the commissions right now, right? That's forced a lot of these things.
It's
thereof.
The breakdown, right? It's the breakdown of a lot of things and the change in technology in society. I'm saying fine, but then you have to redefine what a brokerage is, right? Just like in a sense, like we're going through some of this right now, like as a nation. Like what is an American? Right? Like it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard, but we got to do it. Because the alternative to me is like what you said, which is MLS, we're just a company. We're no longer a cooperative. It's just about data licenses. Anyone can be a participant.
I think the Constitution tells me if I'm an American or not, right?
Does it?
I think so.
Where does it define it?
Says I think you have to be, either born here,
okay,
right, or you have to go through some sort of immigration program, right?
You think that's what makes an American?
Well, I mean, on paper, sure.
Exactly. That's my point. It's on paper. Right?
Well, yeah,
it's
but
on paper.
Again, this is your fuzziness thing of like, well, that's not really cooperation. That's not really marketing. That's not really whatever. I mean,
my point is, it's not fuzzy. My point is that the vast majority of people, of us, all of us, the industry, we all have a gut feeling. We know a broker when we see it. Okay. There's a dramatic difference. So take the endeavoring clause. One of the big reasons why it failed, right, was does that mean if you only have one transaction a year, right, are you then not a participant? Like that this was like some of the issues that were brought up.
Right?
Right?
Like, yeah.
And it's like, well, you could just be a new broker.
Right.
You could suck at your job, right? So you only do one transaction a year.
Yeah, so transaction count
Correct.
can't be part of that criteria.
But here's the thing. The rest of us look at that guy, Joe's Realty, with one transaction, right? And we know that's not the same as Zillow, who has one transaction. We know it, right? What we're struggling with is how do we differentiate between Joe's Realty and Zillow?
Yeah, I mean, who brings more value to the real estate equation, Zillow or Joe's Realty?
If that's how you want to do it, then that's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to define participation on the basis of value that you are bringing to the MLS.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Joe Brokerage isn't bringing really much any value. But
Correct.
at least Zillow's bringing the value of exposure as part of their thing.
To the MLS?
But yeah, to the MLS and their
How's it bringing it to the MLS?
well, because they're a member of the MLS, right? They take the listings from those MLS and they expose them to a lot of people.
To the MLS?
Well, again, the MLS is a cooperative so that people can buy and sell houses, right? So they're exposing
I
that
see.
data to help
I
people
see.
buy and sell
Okay.
houses.
So if it were that, hey, Zillow, you can join the MLS, but you must display all the listings, active listings, without charging anyone for it. That would be value.
I mean, that could be one. I mean, that's a different business model. You see business models like that. Like Homes.com is taking that business model. They're making a go with that. See if that works.
Right. If you want to approach that, I guess you could
I mean,
have that
there's-
conversation.
Again, it's all different
But
business
even
models.
if you do, Greg, even if you do, I still maintain this point. My point is everyone knows what a broker actually is, what a real broker is. What they're having trouble is articulating it and defining it in a way that rules so that the MLS can enforce that.
Everybody knows. I don't know. Every time I hear these kind of like, you know, broad kind of things there. I mean, it's almost like it happens a lot now, and I'm sure it happens to you. It's like, you know, we're having this kind of, you know, this discussion about Anthropic who's starting to watermark things, right? I think I used to know what a post in Inman News was and who wrote it. I'm not sure if I know that anymore. Right? There's a lot of things now that are just becoming like I thought I knew a lot of things, and like a lot of these things that are coming to fruition are like because of AI and others are like just like I don't know anymore, man. I don't even know what is
Really?
companionship.
Really?
Well, there's a lot of people out there that, like, you know, you read about these guys. I mean, I'm not saying it's me, but do you read about people who are like their best friend is their AI chat guy? Absolutely, you read that shit. So,
And I go, yeah, you're a fucking loser. Go touch grass.
okay, but still, it persists, right? I mean, it's a weird world, man.
It's a weird word, but we don't have to accept it. I mean, we just go, you have no friends. Go touch grass and make some friends.
What if it makes them happy?
Fine. Like, my point is, I'm not condemning that guy.
Well, and this you might be condemning them in a business sense that they can't do X because you feel Y.
But I don't even know what that means. I'm not even saying you can't do X. I'm saying you're just not one of us. Like, you know,
Right.
like I'm sorry. You know, in fact, the whole trans thing is like such a perfect analogy.
I don't think so. I don't think
I
we should
really
go
do.
down this road.
Let's go down this road. And my point is, look, I'm the WNBA. Okay, you say you're trans. That's cool. We just don't want you to play with us. That's all. We're not condemning you. We're not saying you're a bad person. Go enjoy and live your life. We just don't want to play with you. It's kind of the same. Like, look, you're a company. You're Anthropic. You're this, and you provide all this value. That's fantastic. You're just not one of us. That's all, right? So, like I said, the balance point is going to be this. It's not simply the definition of participant. The second half of it is going to liberality of the data licenses. Right?
So
Let
you
me
think
put-
it's just
right?
okay for somebody to define who they want to work with and who they don't, and we should give them that right?
That's literally called refusal to deal, though, right?
Was that good or bad from your standpoint?
It depends on if you're a monopoly or not. You know, and that's like the legalistic thing. But again, we're not even talking about those issues. We're talking about something fundamental, like what is a broker? And I think my contention is the industry, we know what a broker is, and we know what a broker is not.
Yeah, I bet you if you did a survey to all the brokers in the United States and you asked them what a broker is, that you'd get a lot of responses, different responses.
I'll be real curious how you construct the question for that survey.
Yeah, I'd let you construct the question.
Yeah, I'll put it almost this way. If you went to 100 real estate agents, 100 real estate brokers, and just said, give me a description of a broker. Just your own words, your own description of what a real estate broker is, right? I will bet you a steak dinner that no more than 1 out of 100 would say it's a website that generates leads to refer out to people. None of them will say
a referral website.
None of them will say that. They'll say something like, a broker, they help people buy and sell business, houses, right? Or they hire agents, they manage agents who help people buy.
Let's go to your first definition. A broker is somebody who helps people buy and sell houses.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's going to be the answer.
Meet that criteria?
No.
Yeah, it does. Does it help people buy their house?
Does Bank of America help people buy?
Well, hold on. I mean, I'm talking
about.
No. Let's start.
Let's
go down. Let's go down my road first before you come up with a what about.
Fine.
Okay.
No, I say no.
Does the fact that houses are on a popular site help buyers and sellers sell or buy a home? I think the answer is yes.
You just think that okay?
No, I'm not saying that means that's. You gave me that definition as a broker.
I just said no. I just said no. That's marketing, whatever. But let's just flip it around. Does a mortgage bank help people buy and sell houses?
I think so.
So they're a broker.
If I don't have, sure.
Does an appraiser?
Sure. I mean, again.
So they're a broker.
Again, it's like it's going to be very difficult.
Does a real estate lawyer help people buy and sell houses?
I think I could get that steak dinner I'll name that tune in 2 notes, buddy.
No, see, this is the issue, right? Like we have to somehow do it for people who are not our listeners, okay? Because they're going to want you to have
gonna be
the
tough,
steak dinner.
Man. Everybody listens to this podcast.
We'll go to like a Tom Ferry event and pass it out in the slide. But that's my point. Like, no, people don't think of those terms. I think brokers and agents, if you were to just ask them, describe a real estate broker, right? Nobody's going to say giant website. No one's going to say mortgage bank. No one's going to say the inspector. And all of those people help buyers and sellers. What they mean is like representing, help. Like that's what they mean. They may have to articulate it. So my point simply is,
I think you would have to say this is Rob Hahn's definition of a broker. Do you agree or not agree? Right, and I think a lot of people would probably disagree with what you think a brokerage is.
I would just have them give me.
I'm always surprised. I think a lot of things are pretty cut and dry, black and white, but it's like I'm always amazed by people going, "You really believe that shit?"
Look, that's why I'm saying in this case, I would just have them define from you tell me, right? You tell me what you think. But I think
if you said you tell me, and they said a broker is somebody that helps people buy and sell real estate, that's so broad. Right. That you could loop in a Homes.com and a Zillow.
No,
into that.
If that's the definition, I would loop in Uber. Because an Uber driver that takes a buyer. Okay, but I mean,
do you think that some people would say something like that?
No.
You'd think they'd go nitty gritty and say
no. They might say something like broad like that because that's the way most people.
Yeah, that's
think.
what I'm saying.
But in their head, what they're thinking is, the traditional broker.
Okay, well, you're the great.
And we could get to it very easily. So
you're a psychic, I guess.
The title agent is a broker. No, I don't mean that. I mean, help people buy and sell houses. That's how they'll answer it. So anyway, we're way over now.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I would be very interested for our listeners to actually provide their definition of a real estate broker. All right. I'm not saying I'm right and like I said, I'm going to repeat this. It's very hard to make this definition.
Yeah. So
it's very hard.
For me, that's why I'm saying don't even go there. Focus on the data license instead.
Right. Whereas I'm saying it's hard, but you got to do it because it's so fundamental. And this is a project worth doing at the MLS level, because that saves the MLS, in my opinion. Because the MLS is, and will be valuable as a cooperative of brokerages, not as a database, not as a data merchant, not as any of those things. That's just my opinion on it. I could be wrong. Strong opinions, weakly held, on all of that. But I think, from that standpoint, what Unlock did here is awesome, and I hope that other MLSs will follow suit by having that admittedly difficult consideration and trying to do the definition of what is a broker, right? Because we're cooperative of brokers, so we need to know what a broker is. And maybe you'll get it right, maybe you'll get it wrong. Greg and I might disagree with your way of implementation, but the important part is that you tried and you did it. So kudos for doing that.
No, and again, I said it in my LinkedIn comment. I'm glad somebody's writing about this because it is needed.
It is needed.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. And if I guess we have a stake bet now, so please don't respond because I know you're gonna agree with Greg just so I have to buy. I'm happy to buy him a steak dinner, by the way. But maybe give us your honest definition of, in your opinion, what is a real estate broker? I think I'd be interested, to hear what people have to say about it. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks
cool.
everybody. Until next time.